Hello everyone, this is Sol and Happy New Year! This is a new Retroid Pocket 2 video guide, and this time we will focus on the Sega Dreamcast, the console that was out in 1998 at the time when Sega was dominating the arcade market. The Dreamcast was Sega's powerhouse that you could use to bring that arcade experience at home. Now, the most common emulator for the Sega Dreamcast is Flycast that you can find pre-installed in the Retroid Pocket 2. I am not a huge fan of this emulator, mostly because I do not like its user interface. It's a bit complicated with a lot of acronyms, settings to mess with, and honestly I don't really enjoy the experience of Flycast. But nowadays we can take this great emulator and use it in another user interface, and of course I'm talking about RetroArch. So we are going to use the Flycast core and load it in RetroArch to enjoy all that great design that RetroArch brings to us, and also test a lot of games to see how well they perform. Now, after we load up the RetroArch, the first thing that we need to do is to download the Flycast core. And in order to do that, you go to download cores and then you search, let me just open download cores, and then we can scroll down to the Sega Dreamcast / Flycast core. We are going to download it and use this one for our emulation. As you can see, we have downloaded, and now I'm going to select the Sega Dreamcast Flycast core. The next step is to import our ROMs. I have downloaded some ROMs in WinRAR form and I have extracted them. So in order for the system to find them, because they are at CDI file extension, we're going to have to do a manual scan. So you start the manual scan, first you select your directory and then you select your system name. You go to Sega Dreamcast and select this one here. Then we will have to select our predefined core, and this is the Flycast core that we had just downloaded. So we select the core and then we go back to file extension. Here you just type CDI and press enter. This will tell the RetroArch system to treat every .cdi extension as a Dreamcast game. The last step is to start the scan, and it will find every ROM that you have downloaded in the specific the directory that we have talked about. There are a couple of settings that we need to set for every Dreamcast game, so go ahead, select one of the games that you want. Let's start with the first one, which is Crazy Taxi, and then we will pause the game and go to the settings. So let's select run and then press your combination of buttons to pause the game. I have another video on how to set your own hotkeys, let's say, to pause the game, and let's go to setting. First, you have to go to MIP mapping and set that to on, as you can see here. The next setting is DIV matching that you should set to auto. As you can see, it's off. I'm going to change that to auto. Now there are some other settings like the frame skipping that I suggest you keep to 0 and then change it to 1 or 2 depending on the performance of the game. The last one is called alpha sorting. You can change that from per strip to per triangle or whatever, and this depends on the game you are playing. I'm going to have a link in the description of the video with a couple of games that need extra settings there. When you are done, you should go to overrides and save your core override. Go back to the initial settings and save that configuration. What we just did was we just instructed RetroArch to treat every Dreamcast game with the settings we just decided. And this will be applied whenever you play a new Dreamcast game. So now we are ready. Let's start with a game and we can begin with Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi was an arcade game by Sega. It was released in 1999 and then ported to the Dreamcast. As mentioned, most of those games that we are going to play were arcade games that Sega ported to Dreamcast, and it was great that you could have all this arcade experience at home. So as you can see, so far the game plays without any issues. The frames per second are more or less high, and you can also see that during actual gameplay. So I'm going to select my character. Let's go with Joe, and then we can jump right to the actual gameplay. In this game you have to pick up customers from their location and then take them to their destination. Depending on how fast you arrive, you will get some bonus, extra money and time. That was a huge game back in the arcade days, and let's see how well it performs on the RetroArch using the Flycast core. Here it's a customer, so I'm going to break. Was just searching for the actual controls, and we are ready. We have our first customer. Now let's go to his destination. As you can see, the green arrow points towards our destination. The control is great. There are no frame drops or lags as you play. You can see that the speed is nice, the sound is okay. It is a bit of choppy from time to time, but other than that you will not have any problem playing this game. This is our destination, so I'm going to stop here and deliver my customer. As you can see, I got some money and some time. Now I have to reverse and go pick another customer before my time runs out. Here is another customer. So all in all, it is a playable game that you can enjoy. It has a second part also, Crazy Taxi 2, that is also available, and you can download the ROM and enjoy it. Our next game is a fighting game, and this time we're talking about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Another great arcade game, a huge success back in the day, that was also available in the Dreamcast. So this is the introduction. As you can see, I'm going to press the start button, go to arcade mode, and then select a team of 3 fighters from the available pool of fighters that the game has. Let's go ahead and pick our team. This is a tag team fighting game. You can change your fighter during the actual fight, when his health is low or when you need to use a special combo. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the actual gameplay. This is part of the series of Capcom Versus. Capcom released a lot of fighting games under this title, Capcom vs SNK, Capcom vs Marvel and others. And as you can see, the gameplay is flawless. It plays without any issues. Also the sound is great. The controls have no input lag whatsoever, and you can enjoy it to its fullest. As you can see, you can have your combos, you can have your fighters. The animations are great without any lags and without any other types of problems. So another playable game, and I suggest that you can also use your Retroid Pocket 2 on a big screen and transform it to, let's say, a home emulation console. I'm going to have a guide on how to do that and use extra controllers. And since a Retroid Pocket 2 has an HDMI support, it would be amazing to use that on a big TV. So again, this game is performing on 100% emulation level, let's say, without any problems. We can now close this game and move on to our next one. Our third game is another fighting game, and we are talking about Mortal Kombat Gold. Now, Mortal Kombat is a game by Midway, again a game that is iconic in the arcade scene, and it was ported over to a various number of home consoles. We have seen the same game in a Nintendo 64 video, and we are going to see it now on the Dreamcast one. So this is the introduction, this is the logo of Midway. We are going to move ahead and start the game to see how it performs. This is the main screen of Mortal Kombat Gold. Let's go to arcade mode, one-on-one combat, and select our fighter. Let's go with Scorpion and select the first level of tournaments, the novice one, to see. This is also a 3D game, so it's good and demanding, and it's good to see how it performs on the Flycast. As you can see, no issues at all. Your characters move great. There is amazing animation, blood of course, and gore, and no input lag. You can have every combo you like. You can have every move that you know on your fighters. The 3D backgrounds are great. There is no flickering, no texture issues. It plays like it plays in the arcades, and again, this is another game that you can enjoy on a big screen by following the guide that I'm going to post in the following days. For our game number 4, we will again check a Capcom game, and this time we are talking about Resident Evil Code Veronica. Now, this is the 4th game in the Resident Evil series. It was developed directly for the Dreamcast in 2000 by Capcom, and it takes place after the events of Resident Evil 2. As you can see during the introduction, there is no problem, no frame skip, and the frames are quite high, so we are going to go right ahead and start a new game. Now, this is a survival horror game, as you know, one of the most famous, let's say, Capcom franchises, and one of the best games in the genre. So this is, again, the introduction. We are going to skip it and go right ahead to the actual gameplay. In Resident Evil Code Veronica, you play the part of Claire Redfield, who starts off being imprisoned in Rockford Island, and this is the actual gameplay. As your character moves, you can see that the frames per second are above 25 for most of the game. You can see the textures having no problem, the lighting also is okay, and the movement is without any issues. You don't have any input lag again, and you can enjoy this game. Another game that would be best played on a big screen. These are some in-game cinematics. Again, there is no texture problem, there is no flickering, even with different lighting situations during the game. And moving on, I'm going to skip, and you can see how your character moves. You turn Claire with your joystick, and then you can move front, you can interact with items, you can interact with the background. And what is important also to notice here is, as she is carrying a lighter, you can see that there are no problems with the textures. Usually when this happens during an emulation, you expect some flickering or some texture issues, but these are not present here. So again, a playable game that you can enjoy on your Retroid Pocket 2 using the Flycast core on RetroArch. Now, amazing game all in all. I suggest you try it, especially if you like the Resident Evil series or survival horror games. Again, this is the 4th installment in the Resident Evil series of games. Now I'm going to pause this game, I'm going to exit, and then we can move on and try some more games, and we can go to our 5th game of this video. The 5th game is Sega Rally, and I have to say that not everything is always good when we are talking about emulation. And what I mean is that this game crashed. It just crashed on the RetroArch. So we are going to see if Flycast can run this game on its own. Let's see, this is the Dreamcast introduction screen. I don't have much hope for that game. Most probably it's unplayable. Let's see if it will move past this screen. No, it crashed again. This is what happens with emulation. It is common to see games that are unplayable. So we are going to relaunch RetroArch, load the core again, and continue with our next game. I don't know if Sega Rally is playable on the RetroArch or on other devices, but it's not on the Retroid Pocket 2. Moving on to our 6th game, it's time for Shenmue, the first game that ever came out. This game was developed exclusively for the Dreamcast in 1999, and it is again the first in the Shenmue series. This is the introduction. It shows that it has no issues, although the frames per second are a bit low. They are below 20. So I'm going to change a couple of alpha sorting the settings in order for it to perform better, and then reset it, and we will jump right to the introduction of the game, the actual cinematic. As you will see here, it has a lot of effects. It is a 3D game, a demanding one that will push actually Retroid Pocket 2 emulation to its limits. However, as you can see, it performs well. There is no flickering, there is no issue on the introduction. This is your main character who enters his home and dojo, and there are a lot of things that will happen after that. We will skip it and move right ahead to the actual gameplay, and there you will see that again the movement of the character is excellent. His animations are super good, and there is no problem with his movement. There is a bit of texture, let's say, not flickering, but transparency issue when you are zoom in to your character, but other than that you can use your controller. It doesn't have any input lag or any issue. The dialogues are okay from what I have checked, and also the fighting, when it happens, it has no delays, no frame drops or any other types of problems. So Shenmue is playable when you use Flycast on the RetroArch on your Retroid Pocket 2, and it is the first game that you should check and enjoy before moving on to the next installments of Shenmue, which are amazing games that you can play on the PlayStation series. For our 7th game, we have Sega Mascot. There is no Sega console complete without a Sonic game. So this time we are going to check Sonic Adventures number 2, the second game in the series that came out for the Dreamcast, and it's part of the Sonic series, the Amazing Hedgehog, the icon of Sega that follows every console release of the company. You will find a Sonic game there, and this time it's 3D, so it's again a demanding game as it is in full 3D environment with 3D sprites and a lot of animation effects and all these things that push the emulation. We are going to start a new game to see how it performs, and you begin with your Sonic character sliding down in a sort of a snowboard on a location that resembles a lot of San Francisco, let's say, with a lot of downhill movement, with a lot of coins that you have to collect, and of course the typical high-speed theme of the Sonic games. As you can see, there is not any issue if you also apply a frame skip of 1 to this game. It performs better, and it doesn't have any noticeable problem. Other than that, the sound may be a bit choppy from time to time, but the movement is okay, the animations are okay, and also your controls are totally fine. When the game returns to normal mode, you can control Sonic without any problem. The input is spotless, without any delays or whatever. You can enjoy again this game, which is a very good type of 3D platforming game with some puzzle solving and a lot of enemies that you have to deal with. As already mentioned, Dreamcast is all about arcade games, so our 8th game is a fighting one from Namco, a major success in the arcade, let's say, parlors, and we are talking about Soul Calibur. Now, this game is a medieval type of fighting game. All your characters are based, or medieval characters have medieval designs, and as you can see in the character selection, there is a bit of flickering and texture issues in the background. This will also follow in the actual gameplay, and you will see it right ahead. But what is also important about this fighting game is that the characters use weapons. There are not a lot of fighting games with weapons. One of them is Soul Calibur, another famous series is Samurai Showdown from SNK. But here, as you can see, it has flickering in the background. It's not unplayable. The control of your characters and the animation is okay, but as you can see, there is some texture failure in the background from time to time. It doesn't happen across the game, but it becomes a bit annoying. I'm going to try some different settings and maybe improve that. But other than the flickering, as already mentioned, there is no input lag. You can have all your combos, all the movements of the game and enjoy it. But yeah, I can understand that those background issues can be a bit of a pain when trying to enjoy it. So everyone, 2 more games to go, and our 9th game is another fighting game, and again an iconic franchise. We are talking, of course, about Street Fighter, and this is Street Fighter 3. Another IP of Capcom and one of the most popular fighting games across every possible platform. It was even very popular at the arcades. This is the 3rd Strike Street Fighter, and we are going to select arcade mode. This is of course 2D with excellent animation and amazingly drawn characters. We are going to have our first fight, and as you will see, there are no issues. The frames per second are close to 30, so all in all it is a very good performance of this game. As you can see, again, no control problems, no input lag, the animation are perfect. You won't notice any flickering or any other types of issues with Street Fighter 3, and of course, if you are a fighting game fan, this is one of the games that you must play. Another great game to play on a big screen, and I will show you in another video how you can do that. But all in all, this is a great performance from RetroArch using the Flycast core on the Retroid Pocket 2. Again, Street Fighter 3 is playable and it's working perfectly on the system. So now we can pause that and move to our 10th and final game. For our 10th game, I have chosen a sports game for the most popular sports in the planet. We are talking about soccer, of course, as it is called in North America, or football as it is called in the rest of the world. And this game is Virtua Striker. This is the second Virtua Striker, or Virtua Striker 2. It was a major success in the coin-ops or arcades. I have spent countless coins playing versus modes with friends. The frames per second here are more or less close to 16 to 20, but in-game you will not notice any problems. It has a bit of texture issues, as you can see in the loading screen here. So when it loads, it has a bit of flickering, but other than that, in-game you can go and select your team. Let's go with arcade mode, and let's select our team. Let's select a good team, especially back in those days that it goes out. Let's go with Argentina, and we can go straight to our first match so that we can see the animation and movement, and of course how the controls are, which are very important in a sports game, and especially a football one. So it's Argentina versus Cameroon. As you can see, there are no delays and the animations are okay. This is of course a 3D football game, but the movement of your players is excellent. The animations also, the response time is 0 milliseconds when you press those buttons to control your characters. You can dribble, you can pass, you can have your lobes, or you can shoot, and it is a very enjoyable and great football game, one of the best early 3D soccer games that you can find. So for all those football fans out there, this is a must, especially when you are running a Dreamcast emulation. So everyone, this concludes our video for the Dreamcast emulation on the Retroid Pocket 2. As you can see, most of the games perform without major issues. There are of course some that do not play at all, like Sega Rally, but other than that, Dreamcast is a system that can be emulated on this amazing handheld called the Retroid Pocket 2. Now we have a lot of videos for this system, and I'm going to have a new compilation video showing some performance tips and also the emulation of the Nintendo 64, the PSP and the Dreamcast in one video for you to have it all in one place. So if you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, to subscribe to the channel and thumb up. Follow us for more content as we have more videos coming soon. Thank you all for watching.